Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and I'm back with another video on Harry and Meghan's embarrassing behavior. They're so embarrassing to the point where I think I almost pity them. Oh god, so much has happened since we last talked about the disastrous duo, and every time I think they can't get more embarrassing, it's like they make it their life mission to outdo that record. I guess that's one record they hold. In this video, I'm going to recap everything that went down at the ESPYs with Harry and Meghan, the famous cloth clutch, Harry's surprisingly defensive speech, the controversy, getting booed, Invictus CEO quitting, all the latest news, and so much more. If you guys like these types of videos, be sure to like and subscribe for weekly content. We also post shorts about all trending topics, follow us on our social media, and check out the description box for exclusive tees built by Meghan and Harry from our blog, Scandalous.media, and check out our Scandalous Media merch shop if you'd like to support us and rock some cool designs. And now, let's get into the video. The Pat Tillman Award Backlash. Harry and Meghan can't play the long game, and this is something that the late Queen Elizabeth knew. They also suffer from something I diagnosed called the can't learn from past mistakes disorder, where Meghan and Harry continuously play the same game in hopes of achieving new results. So when Harry was announced as the recipient of ESPN's Pat Tillman Award for Service, the memorial award set up in the name of Pat Tillman, an American football player who gave up a £3 million contract to enlist in the US Army after 9/11, he got destroyed, especially when past recipients of the award weren't household names or privileged celebrities. He got destroyed some more when Pat Tillman's mother, Mary Tillman, openly said that she disapproved of Harry being chosen for the award, saying that there were more deserving candidates as opposed to Harry, who she called a controversial and divisive figure. Many people, namely Americans, were like, why are we honoring a British prince with an American award? Which is also another valid concern. Do you know how embarrassing it is to stand there as a British prince and accept the award after the mother publicly disapproved of you? At one point, there has to be some sort of self-awareness. Even worse, people felt like Harry poked at Pat's mother in a rather condescending way, making sure to mention that the Tillman Foundation isn't run by her, as if to discredit her disapproval of him.
To everyone at the Pat Tillman Foundation, led by Marie Tillman Shenton, who I'm so honoured is here tonight.
While praising the eternal bond between a mother and son, mentioning the death of his mother, the late Princess Diana, yet again.
Especially Mrs. Mary Tillman, Pat's mother. The bond between a mother and son is eternal and transcends even the greatest losses.
The Diana card. Speaking of Diana, he just had yet another interview about how he felt after Diana's death last month. He sat with Nikki Scott for the YouTube channel Scotty's TV to talk about his grief to growth journey. I feel like no one asked for this, I'm sorry, but after the 900th interview about Diana, one can't help but believe he is using his mother's legacy as a topic to stay talked about, and that's low. Of course you can't rule out his puppeteer wife, Meghan Markle, who latched her claws onto him at the ESPYs, which I'm about to get into. ITV also teased a new documentary coming out July 25th to discuss, guess what? Phone hacking. Yes, phone hacking is terrible, but Harry's phone hasn't been hacked since 2009. As to how he's fighting to expose illegal tactics that have been widely exposed and have not happened in over a decade sure is interesting. Even the promo picture for the documentary is screaming, "Pity me, poor me, I'm a prince." But it's not a Harry story without bringing his mother into it, as People magazine reported in June that his lawyers seek to include new evidence on Diana's phones being hacked.
Are you really gonna do that?
He has the audacity to do all of this after getting exposed for destroying potential evidence against him in his phone hacking case. I mean, how embarrassing can you possibly get? Because it seems like for Harry, the sky's the limit. Speaking of the sky, at the ESPYs, there was a banner flying over the red carpet that said, "Prince Harry, investigate Mum's death."
Is that so?
I guess that's why Harry and Meghan didn't walk the red carpet. They were too busy setting that up.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
The ESPYs, flattered yet booed. Meghan and Harry ditched the red carpet but posed with Serena Williams on it, who was the host of the 2024 ESPYs. Here we have a big smile from both Harry and Serena, who posed together. I'm shocked that the puppeteer actually allowed that. Not to read too much into things like this, but body language says a lot. Meghan is holding onto Harry's arm as he tilts slightly away from her with his tight-lipped smile. Meghan wore this white dress with a slick back bun, a very Meghan look, and one that is on brand for her neutral color palette. Every time she shows up in a white, beige, or cream outfit, it reminds people of when she was alluding to the royal family not allowing her to wear bright colors.
Most of the time that I was in the UK, I rarely wore color.
And saying that she used to wear whites and beiges as a royal to blend in and fit in.
Camel, beige, white.
So people felt like she lied about that to paint herself as a victim, considering all she wears are those colors even years after moving back to California.
So I wore a lot of muted tones, but it also was so I could just blend in.
And guess what? I uncovered an old video from Meghan during her actress days where she admits that neutral colors are her color palette.
Now we're at a fitting. The options are endless. Let's see what we pick out. Monochromatic. You can tell I like things pretty neutral.
I rarely wore color.
I like things pretty neutral.
Now that is crazy. But even at the ESPYs, it seems like the bright white dress, similar to her second wedding dress, was done on purpose to try to stand out as everyone in the crowd was dressed in darker colors for the most part. I don't think this was planned because there's no way she would have known what people would be wearing, and there were other people I saw wearing white, but white is generally a color that stands out. After all, it's not worn often, especially not in the way Meghan is wearing it because it's associated with a bridal look, and that's not what most celebrities are going for on the red carpet. That is, unless you're Meghan and you want to draw correlations to your wedding dress because the media already picked up the story and boom, a bunch of articles were born. Harry and Meghan sat together and right behind them you can see that their security was sitting with them as well. The same man was photographed here trailing along with them during the event and is usually seen with them for events such as the Bob Marley movie premiere in Jamaica. And as they went around to greet other celebrities, their security followed. This is something Harry and Meghan do to portray more importance than they have because I've never, in my 10+ years of celebrity blogging and gossip, seen actual A+ celebrities act this smug, especially at a high-profile event with a bunch of different celebrities. Nor have I seen anyone reserve a seat for their security detail. This isn't a public park, you're sitting in a venue surrounded by security at every corner. Of course, this is another act Harry and Meghan keep up for their grifting scheme as they try to scam money from different governments to fund their security. No security personnel is ever reserved at one of the front rows at an award show, whether you're Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Justin Bieber, or Taylor Swift. I have never seen it. Usually these celebrities are seated next to their colleagues, aka other celebrities. But nope, Harry and Meghan have this "we're better than you" mentality and "our security concerns trump yours because we're so important." It's laughable. They did the same thing in Nigeria when Meghan had her security personnel close at all times despite attending a gala with Nigeria's wealthiest women. But like I said, it's all a charade that caters to their scheme while simultaneously feeding their ego. Speaking of their ego, Serena's opening monologue included a shout out to Harry and Meghan where she said
to be in a room with actual royalty.
And there was an awkward silence where no one reacted.
Actual royalty.
And so Serena clarified that Harry and Meghan are here just in case anyone had hopes of seeing what is actual royalty.
And tonight is no exception. Prince Harry and Meghan are here. Let's give it up for them.
And if you listen closely, you can hear that they got booed. Serena even tried to cover for them by putting her hands up, trying to control the situation, and kind of, make the crowd get up and clap.
This was not comfortable, and people booed when he went on.
But the fact is, the boos were even louder than portrayed, but the crowd is usually slightly muted at live televised events. This is the norm for award shows and even televised concerts because the crowd may overpower the singer. I have a feeling that out of fear of being booed, they ditched the red carpet. But just like in the UK or at the Invictus Games, they can never escape the boos. Meghan of course looked quite flattered as Serena acknowledging them the way they wanted, while Harry looked insecure. Now, the highlight of the night was actually Venus Williams side-eyeing them the whole time, and it was hilarious. Serena even made a joke about Harry and Meghan getting hate for simply breathing.
And I don't want to be overshadowed by the accusations that you guys are taking up too much oxygen, okay?
Which is funny considering they actually get most of their hate for being branded as grifters, as they continuously fail to produce anything helpful or memorable, often making headlines for reportedly buying awards and accolades, and even being dropped by Spotify. It seems like Harry and Meghan are solely relying on connections to try to build their empire, and this alone can be a topic for a different video. But if you realize all the people they kept around are being utilized in some way. Since Meghan somehow remained in the good graces of Serena Williams all these years, she was able to capitalize on that opportunity by being mentioned in a positive light when Serena hosted. In comparison to the joke made at the Golden Globes by Joe Coy, where they were the butt of the joke as the CEO of Netflix laughed at them.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Speaking of their connections, Tyler Perry will be toasted at the Paley Honors Gala, which will take place on December 4th, and guess who is somehow on the host committee? Harry and Meghan. So they will probably attend the gala held in Beverly Hills, as their only hope is making those connections that will get them invited to these sorts of events, but even more importantly, having a role. But back to the ESPYs, let's talk about more embarrassing moments featuring our favorite main character, the Claw. Meghan's claw that won't let up. Harry wasn't the only one grabbing the spotlight with his interesting speech. Oh no, the Claw was the main character as well. As Harry was being called up to the stage to accept the Pat Tillman award, Meghan held onto him with both her hands. I mean, look at that clutch she got on him. Venus Williams even stared Meghan down and did not get up to clap for Harry. And Venus was so obviously staring Meghan down, as you can see in this photo, where she's turned toward her, giving her major side eye as Meghan is standing with her huge camera-ready smile, facing toward Harry, who looks like he's about to puke. Harry's body language throughout the entire event speaks volumes. For one, he didn't even face Meghan nor look at her once when he got up to go to the stage, and she seemed pissed as hell about it as she clawed onto him. He didn't turn around to hug her or kiss her on the cheek the way we see most couples do at award shows. And listen, I'm not saying he should have done that, as that would also piss people off, so maybe he didn't want that backlash. But I think it has more to do with his feelings toward Meghan and how she seems to annoy him more than him not wanting to show PDA. He practically snatched his hand back from her beady eyes. When he pushes away and doesn't acknowledge her presence as he completely gives her his back, her mask slips just for a second and you can see her irritated and more hateful stare here before she gives a quick look around and jumps into her camera-ready position to play the devoted wife happy for her husband and not grifter who's losing her mind in the corner because she wasn't acknowledged. Many people even felt like Meghan was holding on to him because she wanted him to invite her to the stage, probably thinking she also deserves to be up there since she's somehow part of the Invictus Games, aka the main reason Harry is getting this award. And as we know from her reputation and past scandals, she can be quite entitled. Throughout the night, Harry had a tight-lipped smile around Meghan while she had her hand on his thigh here, as he made sure to keep his hands away from her. And even here, where he seems to be bending or getting up, and yet she has both her hands on his back as she looks around. It's all creepy and controlling, but also the norm for their dynamic, as this strained tension between them becomes more evident with every public outing. It's also rumored that Harry and Meghan arrived and left the ESPYs in separate vehicles, but I haven't seen any evidence to support that claim. Many people couldn't help but compare the difference between Meghan latching onto Harry as he was going up to the stage versus Catherine walking to her seat looking down at Wimbledon and being taken aback by the standing ovation as opposed to expecting it. You know the saying, if you chase something, it's going to run away? In the case of Meghan, she is constantly chasing that attention and fame, and it's running away from her. As opposed to Catherine, who wasn't publicly photographed in months and had millions wondering where the heck is she. And because of this, Catherine comes off as more authentic and humble, as opposed to Meghan, who is often glaring at the camera and flattered by the attention. Meghan at the ESPYs versus Catherine's standing ovation at Wimbledon drew more comparisons between the duo, with many noting that attention comes effortlessly for Catherine. I mean, when Meghan and Harry were invited to attend the Queen's final Trooping the Colour event, they lingered by the windows to pretend to play with children to get their photos taken, since they had no part in the procession. These so-called security fiends even rolled down their car windows for photos, but there is no escaping the scent of desperation. Same with Harry and Prince William. Whenever we see Harry, he looks uncomfortable in his skin, as we'll see in the next part of this video, whereas with William, the jokes roll in when they do, the smiles come and go, and he walks with confidence. Meghan and Harry can complain about the general public all they want, but how they present themselves to us is how we perceive them. Harry's defensive speech. For the most part, it looked like Harry felt uncomfortable the whole night, partly because of the claw, but he also looked super insecure and almost as if he felt like he didn't deserve this award. It even reflected on his face when Serena was introducing him. As Harry goes to get his award, you can see his stress as he puffs out his cheeks and looks down. His body language screams insecurity, and perhaps he knows he's not wanted, as he's made the same face at the Queen's funeral after filming a bunch of crazy lies for Netflix. Entertainment Tonight pointed out that Harry received jeers following the controversial decision to award him, even noting that past recipients weren't household names. And look at the way everyone is looking at him with such pity. And if they aren't looking at him, they're giving Meghan the side eye. Compare this with Catherine walking to her seat, not expecting anyone to do anything, and that's why the crowd looked to her with such love and grace. They also had 3 veterans come to the stage before Harry did to introduce him. Interestingly enough, Harry slipped up and said, "Stay here for me," instead of "with me," as the veterans were walking off the stage.
Whoa. Come back. You guys gotta stay here for me.
Yeah.
He's also so awkward as he starts off his speech clearing his throat, saying a few times and taking a deep breath.
Stay here for me. Thank you.
In an attempt to come off as genuine, he actually comes off aggressive as he starts his speech but then says and turns around to make sure the veterans are there and addresses them yet again, saying,
Stay here. You need to be with me.
I'm sorry, but what? Stay here, you need to be here with me? First of all, sir, they weren't going anywhere as you already told them to stay there. But notice how he says it again, and this time it's be here with me instead of for me. He probably noticed what he said and how he said it and felt awkward enough, so he replayed the whole scene yet again. It reminded me of Harry and Meghan's embarrassing trip to Nigeria, which I covered in 2 videos, check them out if you haven't already, where Harry was on camera asking a Nigerian man with his prosthetic leg if he had given it a name yet.
How's it working for you? Good? Have you given it a name?
What did he just say?
Listen, I'm not here to talk about the trauma that comes with that, but that's not a question you ask someone who got a limb amputated. Not to mention the entire interaction was awkward and forced as the man is clearly in pain, and then Harry just walks away. Many people felt like keeping the 3 veterans on the stage was his way of using them as a shield so he wouldn't get booed as he did earlier in the ceremony, considering most people feel like he doesn't deserve this award. Then of course he did the whole spiel about eternal bonds between a son and a mother, which I already talked about at the beginning of this video. Then he starts talking about the Invictus games and says,
The truth is, I stand here not as Prince Harry Pat Tillman Award recipient, but rather a voice on behalf of the Invictus Games Foundation.
There is nothing wrong with that statement per se. Still, I would like to point out that Harry loves to play victim and acts like he's not a privileged prince. Because in February 2020, as he started the last round of his royal duties before quitting the royal family, he took a page out of Meghan's handbook.
Call me Meghan.
Yeah. And said that he wanted people to simply call him Harry, and thus that is how he was addressed in Edinburgh.
And he's made it clear that we are all just to call him Harry. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a big, warm Scottish welcome to Harry.
And yet before throwing in a "just call me Harry," he was addressed with the HRH title and called Prince Harry.
Helping pull all of this together today is His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex, who wants to say a few words.
So if he really wanted to just be called Harry because he's so normal and relatable, he could have instructed that to happen instead of giving the disclaimer of his HRH title and then sitting there in his woe is me posture. This is the same as him saying, "I'm not here as Prince Harry at the ESPYs." Then who are you here as, genius? He goes on to say that this award belongs to the veterans of the Invictus Games and not himself, which is nice and all, but as the speech went on, it seemed like he used this speech to hit back at the critics. Kind of like how Meghan used her Archetypes podcast and how both she and Harry used their Netflix platform. He even gave a Nelson Mandela quote, which is interesting considering Nelson Mandela's granddaughter, Ndleka Mandela, has accused both Harry and Meghan of stealing her grandfather's words to make money for themselves when they quoted him to promote their Netflix show, Live to Lead, one you probably didn't hear of since they didn't gossip about the royal family there. Nidleka Mandela said, "Harry needs to be authentic and stick to his own story. What relevance does Granddad's life have with his?" And of course, who can forget when Meghan told The Cut magazine that one of the actors from the live-action version of The Lion King told her, "I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same way we did when Mandela was freed from prison." Turned out she was lying, since the only actor who fit the description she gave said that he never met Meghan and that he found the whole story baffling.
Good thing she don't get paid for thinking.
So you'd think Harry and Meghan would learn for once that, hey, maybe Nelson Mandela, aka late anti-apartheid hero, has no relevance to our grifter lifestyle. But nope, they insist on sticking with whatever agenda they have. Harry then starts talking about Invictus hitting 10 years, in which the camera pans to Meghan with her camera-ready smile and pose, and just as I thought we were going to hit a little authenticity after 2 minutes of word salad, he mentions how today's world is marked by polarization and division, which I found interesting since Pat Tillman's mother notably called him a controversial and divisive figure. So is he taking another jab at her? He notes that conflicts rage around the globe, which is true, but that has been the case since day one, and I don't know why he mentions this in his speech when he advocates for absolutely no conflict. But then his agenda is revealed in the next part.
Anger and resentment towards those who are different seem to pervade societies everywhere.
Does this seem irrelevant to anyone else? He's basically addressing racism and perhaps bullying, all things that Meghan and Harry have accused others of doing, despite them portraying those exact qualities. What he's saying has absolutely nothing to do with the Invictus games, and everything to do with critics of Harry and Meghan. He claims that the games challenge anger and resentment towards people who are different, aka racism, but that's not true at all. As described on their official website, the Invictus Games Foundation offers a recovery pathway for international wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women, where in a nutshell, they highlight the spirit of wounded, ill, and injured servicemen and women by having them perform in competitive games to show that they are capable. So why is it that his speech addresses nothing of the sort? Finally, about 3.5 minutes into his 5-minute speech, he addresses the veterans and the games bringing everyone together regardless of their background and nationality and rebuilding after the effects of war. He rambles some more and ironically says,
Phrases translates roughly to leave no one behind.
The irony comes from the fact that Harry and Meghan have literally left everyone behind in their path of destruction, so it's laughable having Harry preach what he does not practice.
Phrases translates roughly to leave no one behind. To leave no one behind.
The speech was mid at best. I watched it on a speed of 1.5, so that tells you what you need to know. The camera doesn't pan to Meghan again at the end, so she'll probably take that personally and accuse the cameraman of racism of some sort. Within a day of ESPN posting his speech, the dislikes massively outweighed the likes. Leaving mid-ceremony after getting the award and the claw again. Almost directly after receiving his award, both Harry and Meghan got up to leave. In a video posted by Access Hollywood and captioned, "Before leaving the ESPYs, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry stopped to give ESPYs host Serena Williams' daughter Olympia and husband Alexis some love." Not only do they have an entourage of like 10 people walking around them at all times, but they left right after Harry got his award because, as you can see, everyone is still sitting and the event is going on. You can even hear that the ceremony was still going on as the person on the mic was in the middle of a bit.
You got to do it! Somebody pass this microphone down to her, go!
They didn't even have the decency to wait until the commercial break. Nope, in the middle of all the cameras filming and everyone sitting down, they got up and left. Usually at these award shows, which are live and televised, you are told to stay seated when they're filming, especially on the main stage, because the cameramen are moving all over the place to film celebrity reactions as well as the people on the stage. And this makes me feel like this was done on purpose to get up and leave in front of everyone to attract attention because everyone is sitting down and watching the show, so obviously all attention is on the ruckus with the security team. But I feel like this was also Meghan's way of being like, we're so important and busy we have to leave now and before you all do because of our safety. Of course, Meghan has her hand on his back the entire time, maneuvering him the way she usually does. He's shaking someone's hand and here is that claw. She looks around and waves. As they're leaving, Meghan takes a look around at the crowd and you can see her smile as she soaks in the attention, especially with one person near them filming her. And then she subtly looks back at the crowd one more time, but she doesn't do a full turn. And from a body language point of view, this shows us that she's really soaking in the moment and the cameras, which is interesting because the majority of the crowd, which is filled with celebrities and their families, aren't looking at them at all. So leaving after getting the award put a bad taste into people's mouths because not only was there controversy surrounding the award to begin with, but then leaving right away instead of staying for the show made people feel like they were only there to grab the award and leave. Had this been bigger news, I'm sure that the excuse in typical Meghan and Harry fashion would be, oh, you know, we had to leave early because of the kids and we love our kids and we hang out with our kids 24/7 even though we're always jetting off to places without them. You know, the same old BS.
So once we've gotten the kids to bed, being a mom is the most important thing in my entire life. The kids were just not into it at all.
Now that our little ones are little and enjoying every moment of it.
So our daughter Lili, she's much tinier than you guys.
Our kids are really young.
One user wrote, Prince Harry vowed not to leave any veterans behind and then ironically took his Pat Tillman award and immediately left mid-ceremony. The thing with Harry and Meghan is that they can't even fake it till they make it. They're not willing to do something extra to help themselves. They're actually unwilling to stay for the full event to make it seem like they weren't just there for the award. They're unwilling to sacrifice their ego a bit and understand that they don't need a security detail as they maneuver around high-profile celebrities. And they can't learn from their mistakes, which will ultimately lead to their full downfall. But that can be a whole other video. Let me know if you want it. While he was leaving, he was quickly asked about his award.
Congratulations, Harry. What does this mean to you?
Very much. It's great. It's fantastic for Invictus as well.
Before he was asked the question, he had his irritated, insecure face on as Meghan was scanning the crowd, trying to find someone to interact with, as she usually does. So she turned to this woman who I couldn't make out what she was saying, but Meghan has her exaggerated smile on, and oh, there it is, the claw is about to reach out to touch the woman, but then she pulls back. Her mannerisms truly are hilarious. And this brings us to the latest news. Invictus Games CEO resigns. A week after Harry was honored at the ESPYs, CEO Dominic Reed announced he'll step down from his role as the CEO after 10 years. Harry reacted to the news by saying that he was immensely grateful and thanked Dominic for a decade of relentless service. Now, staff randomly quitting has always been the norm for Harry and Meghan, but in the case of Dominic Reed, he said he had a 10-year vision which he achieved. However, some people feel that Dominic stepped down following the controversy with the Pat Tillman Award and all the drama that comes from the Invictus Games thanks to Meghan and her fashion show. Many people even noticed how Dominic didn't mention Harry at all. Meghan's involvement in Invictus has turned a lot of people off to the point where she was even cut out of the Heart of Invictus documentary, something I don't think she saw coming considering she had so many different outfit changes. And remember when she led the military parade a different year? Oh lord. What do you guys think? Is there a correlation? What's next? The ESPYs showed us Meghan and Harry's dynamic thanks to their body language, and of course this comes after royal expert Tom Quinn revealed that Harry is increasingly bored, and that he never sees most of his army and school friends who choose not to visit him in the States because they find Meghan difficult. Tom also revealed that Harry's friends feel betrayed because he wrote about his military service in such an unmilitary way in Spare. The New York Post reached out to Harry and Meghan for comment and they had nothing to say, nor did they threaten to sue, which means we know this is the truth. This comes after Harry ditched the wedding of one of his longtime friends, Hugh Grosvenor, who is Archie's godfather. I guess Meghan didn't see the wedding worth attending and probably classifies godfathers and how they can best assist their climb to fame, considering Tyler Perry's role as Lilibet's godfather. Over the past year, there have been many reports of Harry and Meghan's strained relationship, with Harry having a permanent hotel room on the side, and just last month in June, King Charles's former butler, Grant Harold, told the Post that Harry had reportedly been eyeing properties in his home country, saying, "It's something that he's wanted and been thinking about. Now he's probably made the decision, that's what he wants." And I'm assuming this story didn't come out of thin air, so there is probably talk amongst the family of Harry either sending someone to look for properties for him, or maybe he secretly looked at properties during his brief visits to the UK. Either way, it seems like we're only at the tip of the iceberg for the mess that is Harry and Meghan's downfall, which I can talk about in a different video. Also, Meghan has finished filming her cooking and lifestyle show for Netflix, so you already know I'm going to be here to break it all down once it's out. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. What other Meghan and Harry videos would you like to see? Do you think there is any truth to the rumors of Harry and Meghan being unhappy? Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos each week. Check out our blog and merch store if you want to support us. Follow us on our social media, and as always, I'll see you next time.